Item number 9, statements and announcements by the Leader and members of the Executive. Statements by the members of the Executive are detailed as report reference number 9 in the agenda, previously circulated. The Leader's annual statement has now been circulated separately. Councillor Hill, would you care to speak?
Thank you, Chairman. We hear a lot of political chatter about populism these days, most of it nonsense. To the Liberal elite, any vote that doesn't go their way is proof that the public have got it hopelessly wrong. What rubbish. From Brexit to Donald Trump and the rise of the Eurosceptic parties across the EU, citizens knew exactly what they were doing when they went to the polls. They wanted a voice, they wanted to be heard, and they wanted change. Of course, Brexit doesn't mean turning our backs on our European friends after decades of close economic and other links. But it will mean doing things differently in terms of trade, security, farming, immigration, and many other aspects of national life. Above all, it's about taking back control, which is what the people intended when they voted leave in 2016. In the US, worries over jobs, immigration, and America's place in the world led to the election of President Trump. While his shoot from the tweet style can be very concerning, he's clearly a man who intends to make things happen. In foreign affairs, he could, just possibly, bring peace to the Korean Peninsula, and who knows about Iran. Unlike his predecessor, Trump has also prepared, along with Britain and France, to take long overdue action against Syria over chemical weapons. On the domestic front, the President is seeking to defend American jobs against unfair Chinese trade, and who can blame him for that? As with Brexit, there will be bumps in the road and very real challenges to overcome, but much of the overall direction is right. Here in the UK, voters rejected Jeremy Corbyn's hard-left Labour Party at the 2017 general election. Given its Alice in Wonderland approach to economics, it was a wise choice. The current Conservative government has taken the economy back into surplus for the first time in years. It also achieved record levels of employment, while average wages rose by 2.8% in February, above CPI. In Lincolnshire, residents gave the Conservatives overwhelming backing at last year's elections to this council. Since then, as I'll discuss, we've been absolutely focused on fulfilling our manifesto pledges. They cover everything from a successful Brexit for Lincolnshire to a low council tax, plus improved highways and infrastructure. We're also committed to helping residents improve their health and well-being and creating stronger communities. In honouring our commitments, we recognise that people have put their trust in us, and we have a duty to repay it. Those on the losing side of all these votes may continue to carp from the sidelines about populism. To the rest of us, including voters themselves, it's about democracy and common sense, which is just as it should be. I'd like now to discuss the appointment of a new Chief Executive to drive forward this Council's agenda. As members know, Tony McArdle stepped down in February after more than 12 years in this role. I'd once again like to thank him for all his hard work in helping to transform our Council into a real success story. We also wish him well in his new role as Lead Commissioner for Northamptonshire County Council. Here in Lincolnshire, we're looking to the future, and the Council today will be asked to offer the vital post of Chief Executive to our chosen candidate, Keith Ireland. He's currently Managing Director of the City of Wolverhampton Council, but his career has taken him across the entire local government sector. Wherever he's been, Keith has dedicated himself to providing high-quality services within tough financial targets. As those are also our aspirations, I and the committee are all convinced this will give he and this council are right for each other. When Keith starts, I know councillors and officers will give him a warm welcome and help him hit the ground running. For now, though, may I simply congratulate Keith on his success in a rigorous recruitment process. We were looking forward to having him on board. In my budget speech in February, I discussed the financial challenges facing this council, so I won't repeat those today. However, I must take issue with the pessimists who believe local government is being hit by a perfect financial storm. It is true that many councils, including this one, are seeing falling government funding and rising service demand, particularly in adult care. We also have a national funding formula that's no longer fit for purpose, as former Community Secretary Sajid Javid himself recognised. Since his move to the Home Office, local government is now being overseen by James Brokenshire, who will be leading the Fair Funding Review. The early signs from that are encouraging, particularly on rurality, and I really believe that reform is coming. Already, Lincolnshire local authorities are piloting a project for the local retention of business rates. That puts us at the heart of change at a key moment, which is exactly where we want to be. Over the coming months, we'll continue our Fair Deal for Lincolnshire campaign, arguing for a level playing field for all councils. A new system could then be in place by as early as 2020, dramatically improving our prospects in the years ahead. As I said, pessimists take too bleak a view. I prefer cautious optimism every time. Let's now look at some of this council's many achievements over the last 12 months, starting with work to boost the local economy. Greater Lincolnshire has been invited to take part in 2 pilot schemes developing national skills policies. The council welcomed a delegation from China and is strengthening trade links with India and Florida. We're progressing plans for a food enterprise zone near Holbeach, supporting companies at the cutting edge of agri-food. The new Team Lincolnshire Ambassador programme has attracted 63 members, all promoting the county with one voice. Our rollout of supervised broadband is also on track to reach almost 97% of the county by the end of next year. Work will then start on the more remote rural locations, ensuring no one gets left behind in this digital age. Turning to highways, the Conservative manifesto pledged to maintain our 5,500 miles of road to the highest possible standard within available budgets. I'm pleased to say we are delivering on this, even though the task has been much more difficult by the hard winter. Over the winter, our gritting teams made the second highest number of runs since records began in 1985. I'm sure members will join me in paying tribute to them for all their hard work, as well as the farmers who support them in rural areas. The weather obviously caused a great deal of damage to our roads, and a massive repair programme is now underway. Each year, this council spends about £50 million on highways maintenance. However, we have now an estimated £300 million repair backlog, and there's only so far our money will go, without more funding for Lincolnshire. So what other successes can we celebrate on our roads? Work continues on the Lincoln Eastern Bypass, with Galliford Try quickly brought in to replace Carillion following its collapse. Phase 2 preparatory works are underway on the Grantham Southern Relief Road, which will link the A52 to the A1. The Peppermint Junction scheme in Holbeach was completed 3 months early and £500,000 under budget. Another Conservative manifesto pledge was to protect Lincolnshire's most vulnerable residents. It's an area where demand is growing as our population ages, and adult care is now our biggest single budget. Over the last year, we've had 38,000 new requests for support from vulnerable adults and carers. That's up 15%. As regards delivery, Health and Care Secretary Jeremy Hunt identified us as one of 3 areas to develop an integrated approach to personal budgets. Our pool budget with health partners will be more than £230 million this year, one of the biggest in the country. Delayed transfers from hospital due to adult care remain low in Lincolnshire, freeing up NHS resources and improving patient outcomes. £3.3 million is being spent on independent living by Wellbeing Links. Support for Lincolnshire's unpaid carers is also growing, with 9,000 helped over the last 12 months. In other good news, a new medical school is to be established in Lincoln, increasing the number of locally trained doctors. Generally, though, the local NHS continues to face difficulties, with the Hospitals Trust still in special measures and EMAS struggling with response times. Last year, this council raised real concerns about the draft transformation plan, and those worries remain. As always, the situation is being closely monitored by the Health Scrutiny Committee, which speaks up for local people. It wants rapid improvements, not further excuses, and is right to do so. Turning now to children and young people, last year saw new GCSEs in English and Maths graded on a 9-to-1 scale. Local schools coped admirably with the changes, with passes above the East Midland average. On admissions, nearly 7,300 children in Lincolnshire were offered a place at their first choice of primary school. That's 95%. Children's services are also excelling on new SEND requirements, achieving 100% compliance on transfers. In public health, the new 0 to 19 service provides a range of services, including a named health visitor for all families with young children. They can also get support from antenatal education on our greatest presence in children's centres. In children's social care, we've been chosen to join the first wave of the Partners in Practice programme. We've also helped Rotherham Children's Services transform their performance through our input as an improvement partner. Other areas where we're setting standards include child and adolescent mental health, judged outstanding at a CQC inspection. Today I can also announce that Ofsted have praised our work with children in care, one of the most vulnerable groups in society. In our manifesto, we also promised to create stronger communities, and we're doing just that. For example, Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue now offers safe and well visits, giving residents both fire safety and general well-being advice. Our staff have also attended 7,000 emergency medical co-responding calls, alongside EMAS and the charity Lives. To make taxpayers' money go further, the 3 blue light services are working more closely than ever, particularly on the use of properties. Highlights include a shared fire and police HQ in Netlham, plus facilities planned or open in Lincoln South Park, Louth and Sleaford. Our emergency planning and business continuity service has also had its busiest year, responding to 40 incidents. On the environment, we have a new household recycling centre, which has opened in Boston, while a food waste scheme is being piloted in South Kesteven. On flood defence, we've earmarked £11 million for the Boston Barrier and a scheme at Stampend, which has been completed. As always, trading standards, which has been protecting the most vulnerable against heartless abuse, such as scam mail and aggressive doorstep trading. And finally, our registration service once again achieved customer excellence, while the coroner's service is reducing the timescales faced by bereaved families. In all these areas, we're committed to building a stronger Lincolnshire, and it's right that we should. The final manifesto page I want to mention, one that's central to everything we do, is spending taxpayers' money wisely. As members know, we always look to achieve savings wherever possible while maintaining the frontline services that matter most to local people. Despite that pragmatic approach, we've had to, this year, increase council tax by 2.95%, plus the 2% adult care precept. In the years ahead, we're committed to remaining one of the lowest charging English Shire counties. We'll also continue to ensure that we get maximum value for every pound of taxpayers' money we spend. One of the ways we're reducing costs is through One Public Estate, which is reviewing the properties we operate alongside other public sector organisations. Staying with property and living near Bourne myself, I was delighted in March to hand over the keys to the magnificent town hall to a charitable enterprise. It's now set to be developed into an arts centre, returning it firmly to its rightful place at the centre of local life. As regards corporate support, the Council is considering the future of the contract currently delivered by Serco, which will expire in 2020. It's no secret that there have been difficulties with parts of the contract, currently delivered by Serco, and the Council has been working with them hard to address those issues. For the future, the Executive has been looking at options, including a possible shared service arrangement with Herefordshire County Council for payroll. Fellow members, I've mentioned the Lincolnshire Conservative Manifesto a number of times today, and I make no apology for that. At last year's election, voters put their trust in us to deliver local services, and that means honouring our group's pledges. However, it would be wrong for me not to recognise the real contribution made by councillors from across this chamber, whatever their political allegiance. In their role as local communities and on scrutiny committees, members play a hugely active role in the work of this council, as do our 4,500 staff. In this statement, a full version which is available in the members' pigeonholes and online, I've highlighted some of our many shared achievements over the past year. I've also looked at how we aim to meet the challenges of the future, which we know, all of us, are considerable. As we celebrate those achievements and confront those challenges, let's remember once again what we're here to do. Our job is to listen to what local people want from us and provide it. Call it populism if you like, I call it democracy.